All right. Girls, you ready?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's get started. So, this is our main page, helping kids see and understand data. I've done that recording. Okay. We are now going to actually get started on these three steps. So, our first step was choosing a topic of our interest, right? So, let me scroll down. Let me actually go ahead and minimize this web page just so we can see this a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, so we have a bunch of topics, right? Topics you girls already looked through, got some data together for cookies or music or cereal. So what's your topic of choice?
I want to do cereal.
You want to analyze data about cereal? Okay. What about you, Lavanya?
I want to do music.
Music. Okay, so Lavanya is choosing music and Livian is choosing cereal. And you will go ahead and do that, but why don't I pick a different topic and we're going to get started on that one? That sounds good? Okay, so maybe I'm going to choose volcano data, right? Hey, guess what? Step one complete.
What?
Step one complete. We picked it.
That's easy.
That was easy. That's right. We're going to keep it easy. Choosing a topic. We chose a topic. All right, so we chose volcano.
Round of applause.
A round of applause. I like that. All right. Second step is downloading the data set. So we've already gone through some of the fun data sets to play around with. And for this one, there's just a bunch of directions here. This page might look a little bit different to you later on. It's still going through edits. But anyway, this button will still be here. This one that says download volcano data, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Any thoughts what's going to happen?
You get to download it.
That's right. We get to download it.
Pretty sure she just looked at your screen because it just said.
That's right. So that's okay. If the answer is right in front of you, that's good. You don't have to think about it. So um, you get to download this. Your computer is probably going to ask where do you want to save this, or it might automatically save it somewhere and it'll show up right here. Right? This is Firefox. Everybody will have a different experience depending on your browser. But anyway, we get to download this. I'm going to download this and I will put this for now just on my desktop. Looks like I already have a file there, but that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and override it. You will not see this override button because you're downloading it for the first time. Ask your parents if you don't know where to download it. Gonna click yes. Guess what, girls?
Step what? 2 is done.
Step two is done. You already downloaded the data.
So there's only one more step, so I'm guessing the step 3 is easier. Like the same easiness?
Well, step three is easy for sure.
There's just a lot of things to do to make it sparkle.
That's right. There are so many different options for us to make our data sparkle in Tableau. So step three is definitely easy for sure. I know that, but there's so many different easy and fun things to do. You want to go there now? Let's do step three. Okay. Let me go ahead and open Tableau on our screen. I'm gonna go ahead and get Tableau Public open. So in a separate video, we will go ahead and show you how to download Tableau if you haven't already. Maybe just ask your parents to help you do that if you don't know or if you don't have it. So this is what Tableau is or Tableau looks like. I'm going to go ahead and just make this so that it's on the right side of my screen. And I am going to go to my computer and find where the file is. So this is the file we downloaded, and we want to go ahead and analyze this in Tableau. Any thoughts on what we should do with the file?
Press on it.
Press on it, and then what?
Oh, maybe we can press and hold it, and then we can drag and drop it to the Tableau tab on the right.
Okay. What? Say that again.
The Tableau thingy.
Tableau thingy. Okay, that Tableau thingy. So we're gonna just drag and drop this file into Tableau right here. What's Tableau doing? Oh, look, is analyzing this. We're going to maximize this. So we're going to, from here on, we're just going to spend our time in Tableau, making our data sparkle, right? So what do we see? On this left side, we see the files that we have. Tableau has automatically put this file on the top right, which means this is the file that we are going to analyze. Okay, that sounds good. Okay. What do you see? What do you see on the bottom right? Any thoughts on that?
It's a table.
It's a table. Any
It
other thoughts about it?
it shows different kinds of data about the volcanoes, like the year, the month, the day, the name, the location, the country is in.
That's right. You're seeing some of the information about this. So Tableau is showing you a preview of the data, right? You can scroll left and right and get to see your data. And it looks like we only have 64 rows here, just 64 different lines of data. But if we had more, we won't be able to just scroll up and down and get any information from our data. It will be what? It'll be easy to just scroll so much data. What do you think?
Now it would be hard
Why?
because
Because what? Give me some thoughts. Let's say we have 2,000 different rows, and I want to know which is the. Let's say we have 2,000 different rows, and we want to know which is the strongest volcano or the volcano that had the most impact. What do you think?
then you can, like, well, if you're just scrolling up and down, it'll probably be hard to find because then you have to look through each of them. But you can use something in Tableau that'll make it easier to store and find which one had the most.
Yes. Okay. Vivian, you want to say something?
Yeah, what does null mean?
Null. That's a great question. So we're actually going to look at nulls as well. So null just means that there's no data. It's just empty. Okay. All right. Um, let's get to sheet one right here. So sheet one is just a place for us to get started. Okay. Um, any questions you have before we want to analyze data? Maybe I'll ask you a question. If you have volcanoes, what would you like to ask? What would you like to know about these volcanoes? Go ahead. Lydia.
The name and where it happened,
Yeah, go ahead.
and then the date of the eruption.
Oh, the name, where, and the date of the eruption. Okay, I'll note those down. What about you, Lavanya? Any thoughts?
The impact the volcano had on the city or place it was in.
The impact. Okay, that's great. Right. So we want to find out the impact, the name, the date, all of the stuff about these different volcanoes. What should we start off with?
The name. So you can see the name and then you can see the rest of the the answers for the questions next to it. So it'll be easier to look at.
Okay, that sounds good. So name. Let me look for name in here. Oh, there is a field called name here. What should I do? Any thoughts? What should I do?
We can drag it to the rows area at the top.
Vivian, any thoughts on what does that mean? Why rows? Well, what does dragging to rows might do?
It might take the data on the name of the volcanoes and just display it in the rows.
That's exactly right. We're just going to see each name of the volcano as a different row. And any observations about this as we look at this?
There's null at the top again.
Yes, there is null at the top again. Um, any other observations? Is this what you expected to see?
It's also in alphabetical order, the names.
The names are all automatically in alphabetical order. That's right. What else?
Yeah, but if it's in alphabetical order, then why is null at the top?
That's good. Why is null at the top? So null is empty. There's no data. So what Tableau is doing is telling you that there's some data and it's bringing you to quickly notice that because if it was at the bottom, maybe you'll miss it, right? So what should we do about this null? Should we find out what's the detailed data about this? So I can just click on this, right click and look at the data behind this null. It says the summary of all of this is null, but if I go to full data, what do you see here?
No, 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 no for everything.
Yeah, it's all empty.
It's all empty. What should we do? Lavanya, what should we do with this?
Um, there's a button. We can like delete it because it's unnecessary. So we can press the exclude button,
There we
right?
go. Is this the one you're talking about, the exclude one?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so we can exclude it from our analysis. Just know that we're not deleting anything, that data is still there. We're just not going to look at it, okay? So let me go ahead and exclude that. And now that I've excluded it, I have my list of different volcanoes. What was the second question that you wanted to ask of these volcanoes?
Location.
Location.
You want to know the location. There's location. What should I do? What should I do with this?
Drag and drop it to the rows section.
Next to the name. No, like on the row section, but on the right of the name, so that
Right here? Right there? Or right there? Or right there? What do you think? What should I do?
in the rows, so it shows up as the row.
Oh, so you want to put it in the rows so that it shows up as rows. That makes sense. Okay, we're going to put it right here and it shows up as rows. Is this what you wanted it to look like?
Yep.
Should we just try moving it somewhere else just to see what happens?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, over there. Oh no.
What happened there?
That's right. What happened there? So if you notice that depending on where we are about to drop it, Tableau will do different things. Let's go back, which is right here. We can go as many times back as we want. If you bring location right here, we're just putting it right next to location. If you put it here, we're trying to put it here. If we put it right on top of name, we're saying go ahead and take the name out and just put the locations there, right? So depending on where you put it, Tableau will take the right action, appropriate action. Okay? So you wanted it here. We're going to keep it here. What was the next thing?
The
The
date.
day.
The day. Okay. Any field we have for the date in there?
I see day and month.
Oh, time.
You see
Oh yeah,
day,
No,
month,
let's do
time.
time first.
Let's do time first. Okay. Let's
And
bring
here.
and year. Okay. So there's four fields. Time first, you said. So what should I do? Where should I put it?
move it onto the rows. Oh no.
D1, D1, D2, D5.
I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. You know, this reminds of us of something. Um, it could be the different days of the week, like day one, day two, day five.
But
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 the,
that means it happens so many times on a Monday because there's a lot of D1s
and also
or
U.
Sunday.
There's for Cadovor. Then there's a U as the time.
Oh, okay. So D1, D2, maybe it's Monday, maybe it's not. We don't know. So that brings us to a very important point about data. If we don't know something about data, we should not make our own assumptions. We should do the research, as we mentioned in one of our previous episodes. Let's do the research. So let's go ahead and see where we got this data from. So I hit up something wrong. I don't want to open that up. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my projects and go to the place where I have this information. So these links are also available for you on the website, so you can know more about where this data is from. So volcano data was taken from this website, Kaggle, and I'm gonna go to the website and just see if I understand what time means here. So maybe that information is in here. Metadata is information about the data, but they're not telling us much other than who put it out there. Maybe if I go into data, then maybe it tells me something here, the content. Mm, not really. So they have not given us too much description. So you know what we're going to do is we're actually going to not use this field because we don't fully know about it. That sound good to you?
That's fine.
You could just do like the date instead.
Okay, we could just do the date instead. Okay, let's get rid of time. Thoughts around how should we remove time from our screen?
You could maybe drag it to the left side, and then you could just yeah there, and you could drop it.
Yeah. Do you see something there as I'm dropping it?
Underneath it has an X, so it's probably gonna delete it now.
That's right. It has an X, so probably going to delete it from the view. It's not deleting the field. The time is still there, but it's just not in our view anymore. Okay. So you said we want to bring time, date in here, which is year, month, and day. Um, what order do you want me to bring these fields in?
Month and then day and then year, like how they do it in the other format.
Okay, so month, day, and year. What just happened? What just happened?
I think it made it into a chart, but we don't really want a chart for the date.
It made it into a chart, you said. We don't want a chart yet for this one. Yes, you have something?
I also observed that earlier there was a ABC on the right, but then now it's gone.
Hmm. You said something about ABC. Okay, I'm going to go back and see what you're talking about. Oh, this ABC right here. Okay, yes. So this ABC is this area. Tableau wants us to look at some measures. So we didn't talk about this earlier, but dimensions and measures. Let's quickly talk about it. Any thoughts on what the dimension might be?
It's like different ways you can see or look at something. Like in this case, it's different ways to look at data. Like the location is a different way to look at the data. And like for an example, for like in math, like in three-dimensional shapes, like a cube, there's three dimensions, which is length, height, and width, and there are three different ways to look at the cube.
That's odd. That's a great example. So a cube has three dimensions, length, width, and height. And you said that's different ways of looking at data. So different ways we're going to look at the data could be location, name, or all of these different fields we have type here. So that's a dimension. What's a measure? Lavanya talked about dimensions. Livian, you want to talk about measures?
Sure. Measures is like how long it is,
Me- Yeah, that's a great example of how long something could be. What else?
like more description, like how you measure stuff.
How you measure stuff. Okay. You have something to add?
Or like I see there's a number sign next to it, the measures, most of the measures. So it's like I think it will record most of those measures in a number. So most of them are measured in numbers.
Oh, that's great. So you just said that most of the numbers you see have this pound sign or the number sign next to it. That means these are some things we can measure. How long, how much was the damage, how many deaths, what was the elevation. So all of these numbers is something we want to measure. So those are measures, and all of these things, the ways we can do analysis of the data, the ways we can look at these volcanoes are all dimensions. So that's dimensions and measures. So what happens is this ABC, back to that question about ABC, this is where Tableau wants us to maybe create a chart, like a bar chart, right? So let's do something really quickly. I'm going to put sum of how many deaths happen in here, and you see there's charts here, and I'm going to quickly sort this just so you can see it. So this particular one had the most deaths, right? Really quickly we could just see that. So that was the area for ABC. But the first question you had was about just creating a table. We want to see the name, the place, and where and when it's happened before we talk about the deaths, right? So we'll come back to this. I'm going to get rid of this one right here. But back to our third question of time. Let's go ahead and put time in there. We did day, we had month, and we had year. So we have that right here. This doesn't look like what we want, right?
No. Uh,
Okay, what should we do?
Maybe we can try to make the day, month, and the year into numbers instead of on a chart or graph.
Like number digits instead of like numbers in a graph.
Okay, that's great. So I think what I'm understanding from what you're saying is that instead of showing this as a graph, you want the day to be showed as just a number. If that's the case, in Tableau, you can change any of those measures that are shown as numbers as a graph to be just simply uh, a value, just the value of it, right? So you see how it changed from green to blue. We're going to do the same thing for month. We can do the same thing for year. So this is closer to what we want, right? But is this exactly what we want? What do you want? What should we want?
I wanted it, I was thinking for it to be like how you write it on paper with the month slash day slash year with that kind of format.
The month slash day slash year. So if I bring month here, I'm just going to bring it to the left. This is month, day, year. Is this what you wanted?
Not really, because that's not really how you write it on the paper format. You write like with slashes in it.
And to make it all, not one number, but like all together, so it's kind of easier to read.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay, so you're saying instead of showing month, day, and year, can I just not show it as one field? These are three different fields. I just want to show the date. That's actually a great thought. So you know what? We have month, day, and year. We don't have it together. So let's combine them. So we are just going to, for now, just remove this from here. Okay, all three of them. And we are going to create what's called a calculated field in Tableau. Okay, this is making new data from existing data. So what should we call it?
The date.
If I can spell it. So you wanted it to call the date.
Or not.
We just call
Okay.
it date.
Okay, just date. Just date. Okay. I thought you meant to call it the date. Okay. So what are we trying to make here?
We need to make the date, so like the month, day, and the year kind of combined.
Okay, so month, day, and year combined into one field. Okay, let's see if Tableau can make a date for us. Oh, looks like Tableau has a function called make day. By the way, if you want to see more functions, they're all right here. You can understand all about these functions and how to use them by just scrolling up and down. Click on it and you understand that. More on that later. Let's come back to this one, make day. So make date that we're trying to do um, ask me three questions. Tell me the year, tell me the month, tell me the day, and I'll make a date. So when I'm doing that, I need to use a field for the year. Do we have a field for that and for month and for the day?
Yes, we do. It's in the dimensions area.
It's in the dimensions area right here. Why don't I bring it here? Drag and drop. And then it says we must enter a comma.
And then we can do the same thing for month and day.
We can do the same thing for month and day. By the way, you don't have to drag and drop. Sometimes you might have a lot of fields. You can simply just type it and Tableau will try to find a field that matches whatever you're typing. So I can just click here and select. Let's close the parentheses because right now Tableau tells me there's some errors. So it says I am expecting closing parentheses. All this means is that hey, when you open the parentheses right here, you must also close it. Now it says it's valid. Perfect. We're gonna say okay. What happened? We created it. Where is it? Where did it go?
It's in the dimension side now.
So we need to add it to the rows.
It's in the dimension side. We need to add it to the rows. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's add it to the rows. And there you have it. This is what you wanted, right?
Yes.
Not really, because it just shows the year. So we need to make it showing all of them.
So yes and no. This is the field we want, but it still doesn't have the right format. Correct. So Tableau automatically said, hey, why don't I show you the year of the date so you can see the bigger picture? But I want the exact date. When I want the exact date, I can just click on that field, right click, and then go to exact date. There you go. Exact date. Almost there or there?
Almost
Almost there
there.
because it's showing a chart.
So we need to make it into the number like how we did it last time with the other ones.
Do you remember how we did it?
Yeah, so you click on the date and then you can press discrete.
Click on the date and you press discrete. This is it? Is this it?
Yep.
Yep, but I have one question.
You have a question. Sure, go ahead.
For the Cinnabung, I think that's what it's called. Um, then for the dates, it has multiple dates.
Oh, you're looking at the data and trying to figure out what this means. So for the Sinabung volcano in Sumatra, it has multiple dates. Why? What do you think? What do you think?
I think it erupted, the volcano erupted more than once and it erupted in all of those times. So it erupted more than once, so it has more than one date.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it erupted more than one time, so it has more than one date. You know what? That's exactly right. Any thoughts on how many times we've had eruptions? Do you know how many rows are this? Any thoughts?
Mm, a lot.
She says a lot. That's right. I mean, it's hard to count. But you know what? Do you see what this says right here? It says 9 of 61 marks. Well, because I selected something. Let me not select it. It says right here 61 marks. So that means what? 61 of what?
61 like rows.
61 rows. That's right. 61 rows. That's exactly what we have right here. So that is what we're looking at. And by the way, Tableau will tell you the right count for whatever you're looking at. So if I take the date out, so these are 38 locations for what we're looking at. Right. So this number changed because 38, we have 38 different name locations, but we have what exactly?
We
What?
we have 61 eruptions, but 38 actual volcanoes.
That makes sense, Vivian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 61 eruptions, but 38 total volcanoes. So that's what we are looking at here. Going to go one step back. So we have all of this list. So this looks good. This looks like what you wanted, but you also said something about the impact of the volcano. So which field do you think tells us the most about the impact? What were you looking for to understand the impact? The things that we see are what exactly? You want to read some of the measures for me?
Mm, there's the damage. There's the how many deaths there are. There's like the houses destroyed and the injuries, and then
People who are missing or total damage of things or total deaths.
Right, so a bunch of different ways about the impact. Let's just choose one of the ones for us to. What do you think would tell you about how bad the volcano was? What do you think will help you understand that?
like the deaths and destruction.
Or the houses destructed.
Okay, so total houses destroyed or total deaths that happened. So let's start with deaths. I'm going to go ahead and bring deaths right in here. And there's the number, right? Because we put it into ABC. But if I put that right here in columns, we can see these bars. And through this option right here, we can sort it so we can see the ones that are most destructive at the top first. Two ways to do it. You could do here or you could do here. Which one do you prefer? Should I click this one or should I click that one?
The bottom one because it's like kind of easier because there's three next to each other, so you might get confused.
That's a good idea. So just the bottom one because it's right there. So let me go ahead and just click on the sword. So what this does, it tells us which are the ones that were most destructive volcanoes and when they happened. In fact, if I take the date out, I can just simply see all the different deaths that have happened combined for all the different eruptions for Merapi in Java. That's the one that has had most deaths, which is 377. So that's a lot, right? So this is our first visual that we created. Give it a name for me, please.
Since the chart is in like the format of a table, we could just call it a table.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that good? Table of volcanoes?
There's an E after the O.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I have kids in my family who can tell me how to spell. Thank you. All right, volcanoes. Um, so this is our table. We just created a quick little visual on how to understand the data. Before we wrap this up, we're gonna go ahead and uh, quickly publish this. I'm going to bring this back in, something we talked about earlier, just so we can see the date as well. Put it back as discrete. And there is the visual that we want. By the way, we see this quick thing called nulls. Remember what null was?
Empty.
Empty.
So it looks like with all the data that we have, there's a total of 32 different rows where they didn't even know how many deaths happened. Okay, so we can decide what to do with it. We can either take it out or we can just remove that, right? So what do you want to do with these volcanoes that don't tell us deaths? They still happened. Should we keep the volcanoes in and just leave it there, or should we use a different measure? What do you think we should do?
I think we should just keep it there because so you could still know the volcano because some people think that all volcanoes kill, but then some don't. So
That's a good point. So this one right here, we don't have a bar next to it, so there's no deaths reported for this one. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up by quickly publishing this. So we are going to save this to Tableau Public. If you already don't have a Tableau Public account, ask your parents to help you out. If they need help, I'll put a quick little video on how to create a Tableau Public account as well. So watch out for that, but it's actually fairly easy. Maybe I don't have to create a video. We're just gonna call this volcano. Oh, again, I can't. How I cannot spell today. Volcano. Uh, that's okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and save this, and it's publishing it to Tableau Public. You guys are nodding. Anything before we wrap this up? What do you want to do next time?
Make maybe a better visualization. So something maybe you could look at more in a different way of showing the data and make it colorful.
colorful.
That's right. So yes, so let's make something colorful. Okay, you have something to add. Yes.
And also maybe you could sort it like this many was in Hawaii, this many was in Indonesia, this many was in I don't know, Africa.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great idea. So I know this is was a sort of a intentionally slow video. We did that so we can talk about each one step at a time. This is how we are learning at our home as well with Lavanya and Livian. And then next few ones, maybe we're gonna pick up the pace. For example, maybe I'm gonna come in here and simply say, hey, by date, just show me all the deaths that have happened. Ooh, 2010 had the most deaths. See how quickly we did that. That's pretty impressive. Or we could come here and simply choose the country and let's see what happens. Oh, Tableau automatically created a map. Was that cool?
Really cool.
Cool.
And by the way, if I put deaths on size, you can see where most of the deaths are.
Oh, what are the other ones like detail, or will we see that next time? Like the color, label, detail, tooltip.
Great question. That's what we're going to talk about next time. What does this mean? The color, the label, the size. So right now we just created a map and we are quickly showing which country or which area has the most. That's because of volcanoes. Quickly, we can quickly see it, and we created this in a few seconds. So stay tuned because we are actually going to learn a lot more about doing things and in a few seconds rather than a few minutes. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to the next one coming up. All right, girls, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Bye.
Bye.
All right, thanks for joining. Bye bye.